as I scroll down the computer in front of me, there's loads of stories, loads of West Ham transfer rumours. Look, we got an option. We'll either discuss none of them or we discuss all of them. Well, I guess there's a middle ground. You can discuss some of them. But there are so more that I'll address that in the next video because I want to deal with, in particular, I think Declan Rice, Jesse Lingard, and the impact of the transfer market on that, which sort of plays into the Jadon Sancho, plays into the Jack Grealish thing. So many links, though. There really are so many strikers, so many midfielders. People constantly changing their mind, like James Tarkowski wants to come, he doesn't want to come now, he doesn't want to come now, he wants to stay at Burnley. So as you can see, at the final year of his deal, it's a minefield. I mean, the funny thing is, there's a lot of talk. It ain't just West Ham. There's talk for everybody, but there's precious little getting done. Really, and you can understand that. Everyone's at the Euros. Do you know what? I get it. We'll deal with all the other stuff. We'll do it tomorrow's video. Lots of little transfer rumours and stories. I think the big one, the big catalyst. There's always a catalyst when money's sparse, which I think it is now. And I think the catalyst for this one is the Jack Grealish transfer. And when I say Jack Grealish transfer, if you're sort of as detached as I am from the world of football on occasion, when you get busy and life gets in the way and you don't know, then Jack Grealish is going to Manchester City for 100 million. That's a really newsworthy story, you know, and I think it has massive implications for all concerned. Look, we've been covering the England team quite a lot on this channel, and we'll continue to do so for the remainder of the Euros. And I mean, I think it has massive implications on the England team to start off with, because you feel, I don't know, I feel, maybe you don't, maybe some of you do. I think enough of you in the watch along certainly agree with me that Gareth Southgate doesn't particularly want to use Jack Grealish. Well, I tell you what, if he signs for Man City, which looks like he will do, plays for Man City, and there's no reason to think that he won't be one of their prolific, productive players, he can't be ignored. He just can't. And I mean, what do you do then? What's good enough for Pep is not good enough for Gareth. I think it's going to make a really interesting dynamic. I don't actually blame him for doing it. And I guess in that respect, we're quite lucky at West Ham. And this is one of the situations where it plays into our favour with Declan Rice. And I think it does on many different levels. I think it's fair to say that being at Aston Villa is not a hindrance to getting in to the England team. Tyrone Mings and, of course, Jack Grealish himself would suggest that you can do that. But what about being one of the main guys, one of the top guys, to get in there, to get regular starts, start after start after start? That Declan Rice does and has done and continues to do. They've not quite cracked it. And I don't know why. It can't all be ability. Just, I think Tyrone Mings was England's best player for, the 2 games that he played. Jack Grealish often is England's best player. I think Declan Rice is. So there's something else going on there, I'd imagine, a different dynamic. But what it does lend itself to is us saying to Declan, you don't have to leave to be England's main man. That's absolutely fine. You can remain here. Grealish, I think, has to. It's just something. It just seems like there's something. But anyway, that wasn't really the point I wanted to make. It was more about the fee. And the fee of 100 million. And it's good for West Ham if you want to keep him, which I think we do and I hope we do. And it's also good for West Ham if you want to sell him, which I hope we don't. It's quite funny, actually, because you look at the Buendia deal, and I said on here a couple of times, Buendia, good player, a player I would have liked, but 40 million, it seemed a bit excessive. It's a good job they did it now. It's a good job they did it now, Aston Villa. Because now, people know Aston Villa got 100 million. Buendia would probably have cost 50. So it was quite canny from them. So, well done on them for that one. Another reason that particular transfer ties in to West Ham is because I thought ever since it was suggested that we might be interested in Tammy Abraham, that 40 million was too much. Well, now, it looks like Chelsea might be able to get 40 million, and guess what? It's from Aston Villa. And it's for Tammy Abraham. And they're armed with that money, so they can do it. Fine. I think it's overinflated. And what it's done is it's given a bit of a shot in the arm to a transfer market which was in the doldrums a little bit. Because the money circulates around, but it's that old thing, everybody knows that Aston Villa have got 100 million quid, so it's all going to cost, everything's going to cost a little bit more. The good news is, for West Ham, is if we want to keep him, we know that we know that they were interested. We know Man City had an interest in Declan Rice. Well, I think now it looks as if there's no way they're going to be able to afford it. If they want to do the Harry Kane, I was going to say if they want to pull off Harry Kane, but that's something. If they want to pull off the Harry Kane transfer, there's no way that they can afford it. Well, they can afford it. They can afford as much as they want. But what they can't do is fall foul of UEFA fair play rules. They've already had they basically had 2 smack bums and a final warning. And we all know what happens. You can't get 3 smack bums, otherwise you're booted out. That's what I was always told by my parents anyway. So I think that's a good thing, because it allows us to say, well, hold on, Jack Grealish is worth 100 million. Declan Rice is worth 100 million, because actually his stock is higher in international football in that sense. And it is. Look, they do different jobs, but I think they are equally effective at their jobs. I think Declan Rice is one of the best at his job. I think Jack Grealish is one of the best at his job. So I don't think it's outrageous to ask for 100 million. Had the market have been depressed still, then and everyone's value had plummeted, then we might be in a position where clubs come calling and say, well, actually, old COVID coronavirus football has killed the finances. There's your 50 million for Declan Rice. You better be happy about it. So I think it sets the stall out high for anybody that has a big asset, and we have a big asset. I mean, we've got a couple, haven't we, really, in that sense? So that's a really good thing. Does it hinder us buying? Well, we'll see. Let's see. It might do us a favour, as in Tammy Abraham, because it sort of prices out somebody that I don't think is particularly good for our system anyway. So that's not bad. And also, don't forget, people aren't looking at West Ham thinking, oh, they've got the Man City money, we don't. They look at Aston Villa and think, you're rich, you've had a cash injection, you're rich, we'll have some of that. So the price of our player's gone up by 10 million. That's just what happens. So the money goes round. Obviously, it means, you know, Tottenham get money for Kane, they start buying somebody. But I think it's good. And I also think that if anybody else comes knocking for Declan Rice, we say we're not selling. Oh, and if we are, the 100 million we said he was worth, that's not unrealistic. Look at what Man City just paid for Jack Grealish. And I think that in turn stops other clubs, hopefully, not interest, but hopefully pushing too hard to get him, because we're more able to not only stick to our price, but to actually sound authentic when we're sticking to our price, because we have a recent example of that. And the other big transfer is, of course, Jadon Sancho, which is 77, 80, 81 million, depending on what website you read, what paper you read, from Borussia Dortmund to Manchester United. Again, it's good for West Ham. For all the reasons I said, that it keeps a transfer fee high, it keeps a depressed transfer market inflated and puts money back into the system. Yes, all of that is true, but there is another knock-on effect from it, and that is that it's Jesse Lingard. They really need to sell Jesse Lingard. Because whilst the transfer market might not have been deflated by COVID, the clubs undoubtedly have less money. Now, I would suggest for a club like Man City, it doesn't matter. They're literally pulling money by the barrel out of the ground. That's not the case of Man United. Man United were leveraged on a dare. Realistically, the Glazers didn't have enough money to buy Manchester United. So it was all leveraged. So they have debts to repay. They're not. They don't have a limitless source of money like Manchester City. So the money, particularly bear in mind they haven't any gate receipts, and no one gets gate receipts like Man United. Look, a lot of clubs felt the pinch. You know, clubs coming through the turnstiles. I'll tell you now, Man United felt the pinch. Their match day revenue is through the roof. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. For anyone that's actually been there, when you walk up and you go on match day, you see them all through the glass sides of Old Trafford. They are catering for a lot of people. There's a lot of corporate going on. There's a lot of meals being eaten. There's a lot of drunks being drunken. And obviously they've got excuse me. There's a lot of people sat in the seats as well, and they charge big money for the tourists to come. They get season ticket waiting list. Big match day revenue. And they can really do what they want. So when they lose match day revenue, it's big money. Big money that the Glazers can't put their hands in their pockets and say, oh, there you go, we've got that covered. So it means they've got to sell Jesse Lingard or somebody else. So I think that's really good for us as well. I mean, it also means that, actually, Sancho, if you look at Sancho played some games on the left for Dortmund last season. He played the majority of the games on the right, but he played some games on the left, if you go and look at his season. He is an attacking midfielder. by all intents and purposes. He's an attacking midfielder who's versatile, which is pretty much what Jesse Lingard is. So it wasn't like before where if Fernandes got injured or someone else got injured, then they've got a problem. Who do they put into play that can create? I think it's safe to say probably they would put Jadon Sancho in there or move Rashford around or whatever. Do any number of things. I also think that it's another barrier. So if Jesse Lingard found it hard to get into the Man United team with all those great players there, then he's going to find it even harder to get into the Man United team with all those great players there, plus Jadon Sancho. So hopefully from our point of view, in terms of him wanting to come to West Ham because he ain't going to play much, it works in our favour. From a financial point of view, hopefully, because they need to recoup some of their money, it works in our favour. Man United, there's a massive bridge to gap. If Man City are gonna be doing this sort of stuff, and if they're gonna sign Jack Grealish and Harry Kane, and they've already won the title, we know Liverpool will be better. Liverpool will be much better. We know Chelsea will be better. Man United just can't only sign Sancho. They have to sign some other people as well. It's about making their first team better. That's really what they need to win those big games as well. So I actually think, I read it all with real interest. Sancho and Grealish, I think they're interesting stories anyway. And I do, even though it's got nothing to do with me, but just as a football fan, I do look at it and I think, well, that'd be interesting to see how Grealish fits into that Man City team. Wonder what it'd be like of him playing, alongside De Bruyne and things like that. I wonder, very, very hard. Let's say he produces a partnership with Phil Foden. I mean, that's very hard for Southgate to leave those two out. That's if Southgate's in the job anyway. I mean, we just don't know. I mean, we're still in this thing, still in the European Championships. We can still win the thing. So he may well be vindicated. In which case, wins the European Championship, Southgate stocks high, and I tell you what, he'll be staying in that job for as long as he wants it. And I mean that. He'd honestly have the job. It's been such a long time, 1966, since we won a trophy. He would have that job for as long as he wants it. But I do think it creates a really, really interesting dynamic with Grealish. I just think monetarily and for loads and loads of different reasons, I think Jack Grealish from Aston Villa to Manchester City, Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund to Manchester United, is actually a bit tenuous maybe, but is actually quite good news for West Ham.